What is up, my fellow fight degenerates? Happy Friday. I hope you guys have had a great week and you're ready for some chat. We're going to be joined here by 4 guests in a little bit, and we're going to let it rip and have some fun. All friends to the show are going to be joining us, and we're going to talk about a couple different subjects, and we'll see what happens. I've never done this panel thing, so this should be a lot of fun. Guys, get in on the chat. Make sure you smash that like button. Real quick housekeeping before I get started. There will be no podcast Monday. So the Neutral Corner not having it Monday because I'm going to be at the hospital with my wife. We're going to be having our first baby, a little girl. So that's where I'll be Monday. And I'm probably just going to be unplugged for a few days, right? As soon as I plug back into the Twitterverse and all that, I'll update you guys and all that kind of stuff with what's going on. But that's what I'll be doing Monday. So, I don't know when I'll be back. This will be the last show, maybe for a minute. I know what to expect. Everyone's told me what to expect, but you don't know till you know. So we won't know what's up until I'm living it, right? So I might be back next Friday for the wrap up. I don't know, but I might not be back for a couple weeks. So we'll see what happens. But I'm going to. Our 5th guest just joined too. Okay, so we got 5 guests. I'm going to bring these guys on, and I'm going to set the table with the topic. And then we're going to let it rip. All right. So let's bring, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fabia's on. So I don't know. So, okay. I'll just really quickly introduce everybody. So Papa Chubby, his name's Chad. He's joining us from Canada. And then we got Eric Lorta and Joe Habib of the Ringside Reporter podcast. Eric is in Cincinnati. Joe is in New England. And then we got Nacho out in Southern California. And then we got Brian, the boxing historian, in Seattle, right? So we got like every corner of North America here, of America, and then even Canada on. So, guys, I will set the table with the topic here. I need like 5 minutes to rant, and then we'll let it rip. All right. I want to get right into this Helenius dive situation because that's kind of dominated the talk on Twitter and YouTube and everything all week, because there's not a whole hell of a lot going on this weekend, right? So I got to back up to this Monday. I did my podcast, The Neutral Corner, episode 334, 2 hours long, and I reviewed, all the huge loaded weekend of action from around the world last Saturday, right? We had Australia, England, America, but of course that included Wilder-Helenius, and I very specifically said I do not think that there was like a backroom deal where there was like a scripted dive where these dudes were like in a dark room somewhere and there was like cash being passed under the table in a duffel bag. And it's like, okay, here's the script. Robert, you're going down the first round, blah, blah, blah. I didn't think that occurred, and I'm not a conspiracy theory guy. However, the knockout itself, it did look kind of funny. It just looked kind of funny, given everything we know about these two fighters, their history together. Look, the second this fight was signed, I said that not only will Wilder win, he will win by explosive highlight reel knockout. And that's exactly what we got. I thought it'd be in the middle rounds. I didn't think it'd be in the first round, but the result we got is what we all pretty much predicted, right? No surprises there. But the fact that these two had sparred dozens, maybe over 100 rounds together, they were training partners. They know each other's tendencies, angles, spacing, the leverage, with which they throw their punches, their strengths. Helenius dives head first. He hears the sticks. End of the first round. Dives head first toward Deontay Wilder's right hand and literally punches Wilder's right hand with his face. It looked kind of funny. So I brought up on my show the hunch or the possibility, the question that perhaps Helenius came into that fight knowing, okay, they're bringing me in as the opponent. I ain't going to win a decision if this goes to the cards. I've sparred 100 rounds with this dude. I can't beat him. He's better than me. I'm just going to go for it, try to punch that lottery ticket early on. I probably won't. I'll probably get slept. It is what it is. At least I'll get it over with early. So that's basically what I said on my show. There's some idiot on Twitter, downloads the whole episode, takes a 10-second clip, tweets it, represents it purposely out of context. That's what they always do to me. I always get beat up over that stuff. And I only mention this because the reaction from the American boxing press, certain members of it, I have to note this. Jake Donovan specifically retweeted this idiot's tweet and tagged a lawyer in it and said, wow, these accusations, oh my God. It basically said I should be sued for slander. He said I should be sued. He didn't ask any questions. And Jake knows me. Like, he knows how to contact me. We've talked offline, before. He didn't ask no questions, just believe this dude's tweet. And so from there, once Jake retweets it, other members of the boxing community jump on, right? And it's just indicative of this thing that I see where it just seems to me there is a certain segment of the American boxing press and the American boxing community at large that has to protect Al Haymon. It's like their duty to protect Al Haymon anytime he's criticized. And now the poster boy for Al Haymon, PBC, the face is Deontay Wilder, right? It used to be Floyd Mayweather. It's turning into Gervonta Davis. But right now it's Deontay. And anytime you criticize Deontay, boom, these dudes pounce like ninjas, right? And these are the same people, Jake Donovan included. And I like Jake. I got no issue with him. But in this particular instance, I do think he's being hypocritical because for years, there were these Glovegate dudes, egg weight guys, spiked water guys, right? Throwing Mark Breland under the bus, basically accusing Mark Breland, Tyson Fury's whole team, the commission, Kenny Bayless, of colluding in attempted murder. And they weren't asking questions. They weren't, just putting out theories and thinking, well, maybe this is possible. They were outright accusing these guys of doing this.
I'm live. I have the camera off while I'm there.
Never a peep from anybody. Well, not, I won't say anybody, but never a peep from these same protectors of the American boxing community. So they were completely mum about that. Yet people asking questions about this knockout last Saturday, how it looked kind of funny. And was Helenius looking for a way out? Because we've seen that in boxing a million times. They're going crazy. There was like a breakdown in the fabric of American boxing media this week. And you guys know that, I train and compete. I know some of you on this panel have too. So we've been around fighters. And when you're around fighters, particularly quote unquote journeyman level fighters, that's who most fighters are, right? That's who you're training with. That's who you're hanging out with. You're going to barbecues with, you're getting lunch with. People talk. And I'm sure you guys have heard stories like I have where I know high level American boxers, guys that you would know, like names you would know, that have straight up told me, yeah, I knew I was being brought in as an opponent. I wasn't in shape. I was 2 divisions above my best weight. It was an 8-round fight. No way I could go 8 rounds. I told myself, I'm going to give it all I got for 2 rounds. And then the first punch this dude touches me with, I'm taking a knee and getting my check. I've been told those stories dozens of times. I know you guys have heard them too. I'm not saying that's what Helenius did. I'm just saying for the people that might be asking questions, the whole situation, it looked kind of funny. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there, clear the air on some of those things. I don't think this was some scripted dive, but it's possible. I'm not saying for certain. It's possible Helenius was thinking, let's see what happens. If I don't land it, I get this shit over with quick. All right, so let's start. I want to start with Joe Habib on this because I know that you got a lot of opinions. I heard the show this week, so go ahead and start, Joe.
Well, again, people are saying that this is, like when I say people that were criticizing the whole Glovegate thing, right? And they're saying these are the same people that believe that, right? But they can't believe this. And this is way more common than loading gloves, because if you look at the history of the sport, right, it's only been one time someone actually entered the ring with loaded gloves and got caught and was punished, banned for life, and went to jail, and that's Luis Resto, okay? Right. Margarito was a totally different situation. It was not the same thing. I could show you videos of people taking dives. I've been to fights where guys have actually taken a dive. The referee refused to count, told the guy to get up, he wouldn't, and the guy didn't get paid at the end of the night. So it is very common that this happens. I'm not here to insult Deontay Wilder, insult Robert Helenius. What I believe, there's a couple things that I believe could have happened. Like you said, Helenius knew he wasn't going to win, so he put himself in, put himself in the line of fire in a punch. As soon as he got hit with it, he went down. So I believe that.
This is trash.
Nacho, mute yourself, brother. Go ahead, Beef. Sorry. I'll mute him. Or
So,
can I mute him? I don't even know if I can mute him. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So that's one scenario. Another scenario is maybe Wilder could have been in on it. I'm not saying he was or he wasn't, but it's possible, right? Because the way he threw the punch, and everyone's saying, look at the sound, look at the sound, look at the sound. I've been to fights before. Leather hitting flesh makes a slapping noise. It just does, right? When it just does. And it's just because something is loud doesn't mean it's hard. It's like it's hard, right? Slaps are loud, but they're not as hard as punches, right? So the way that punch landed to me, right? First of all, let's go through the body mechanics of Helenius. Where have you ever seen someone start off 3 feet away throwing a right hand, right? And then ending up with his elbows out by his sides, like 4 feet away, and his hands shoulder width apart, and he went like this, right? And Brian made a phenomenal point, and I didn't even think of this. When you're have all that forward momentum going, leaning towards your opponent, and he hits you, a la Marquez Pacquiao, a la Pacquiao Hatton, a la Paul Williams, Sergio Martinez, a la Ricky Hatton, Floyd Mayweather. When they lunge in, where do they end up? Face first. They don't fall back and go on their backside. It's a law of physics. If you got 260 pounds of momentum coming forward, you fall face first. You don't fall backward. And when I watched how he fell, he actually bent his knees, sat down, and his ass hit the ground, the mat canvas first. Then he leaned back, right? So all I'm saying is this. They're friends. This was not the same as the Malik Scott situation. Whenever you say something is similar, people like, oh, it's not the same. I didn't say it was the same. It's similar. It's similar. Both of them were friends. That's a similarity, right? Just like Malik Scott was his friend, both of them were sparring partners. That's another similarity. Guess what? Both fights ended in the first round very quickly. That's another similarity. So again, oh, you're being a conspiracy theorist. No, I'm just looking at things that don't look right to me. All right, I've seen the worst boxer in the world try to throw a right hand. I've never seen him end up with it looking like the Archangel from the X-Men with his arms out like this and his face up in the air like that. I just never seen anyone do that. So, and then people say, well, Wilder's unorthodox. He doesn't throw punches right. Helenius is the same way. But see, Wilder he gets overly criticized because, yeah, he has flailed in the past. But when you watch him knock someone out, the punch that usually knocks the guy out is thrown properly. It is a textbook, for the most part, punch. Oh, well, look at the Spilka. No, he turned the punch over, and the elbow was down by his side, came up 45, and came over the top. He didn't lift his arm up like that and push the punch and land with this part of the glove and ride it up, his opponent's face. So all I'm saying is, and maybe I went a little overboard with the way I said it, and I was kind of, being a little facetious, but he took a dive, right? But it just did not look right to me. At the very least, Helenius leaned into that punch, went down, and even people who don't think it was a dive were saying they thought Helenius could have got up. And again, I'm not sitting there calling Helenius any names or questioning his character. All I'm saying is this: they were friends. They possibly did. Helenius knew he was going to lose, like you said, or even Wilder knew he was going to win and Helenius couldn't win. Maybe I'll do my friend a solid. Again, these are just all theories, right? Mm-hmm. No one's saying that I know for a fact exactly what happened, but all I am saying, and I think you're saying, is something just did not look right about that whole scenario. And that's the end of it.
Yeah, and this is something that we see in all sports. It's not just boxing, because think about the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, whatever. Once the playoff bracket is set, dudes throw games. They bench starters.
Point shaving.
Yeah, this
all
is
that
something. Shit. So it's not just in boxing, but if let's say the playoff picture is set and a team benches their starters, or they pull them after the first quarter or whatever, That's not really taking a dive, quote unquote. Like they're not gambling or whatever in that scenario, but they're kind of purposely losing, maybe to get a draft position, something like we see that every season in every sport. So it's just the notion that, because Beeb, you made a great point. You're not saying that you know for certain Robert Helenius did this, Deontay Wilder did that. You're just speculating. You're just asking questions. You're just stating that things look kind of funny. And that's so different from the Glovegate people and the egg weight people, because they were straight up saying, no, we know for a fact he had egg weights in his glove. There was spiked water. Like they were saying that as a matter of fact, and they were throwing out accusations of literal attempted murder. You brought up the Louis Resto situation. That's what that is. That's attempted murder. Those accusations were.
Let me interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Let me interrupt you for one thing. I'm sure you've talked to people in boxing commissions, and I have too, right? And I'm not trying to, have this holier than thou, or I'm this, I'm that, whatever. But if you talk to someone who's in a commission, and you ask them about the Glovegate situation, they will say it's virtually impossible to enter a boxing ring in today's world with all of these, this protocol in place. It's virtually impossible to load gloves right now. But it's not impossible to do this, because I've been to club shows where fighters do it all the time, and they haven't even gotten paid because they throw
commissions have held payments.
And you can go on YouTube and you just look boxing dives. There's like thousands of videos out there where you're seeing fighters not even get hit and go down. Bruce Seldon, Mike Tyson, right? Danny Green, that fight where he was in. Terry Norris, those fights he had there with who's that guy there? Where he kept saying he kept going down there. Luis Santana. Yeah. He fought him 3 times, and Luis Santana took a dive 3 times. A punch skated up his head, and he's trying to get Terry Norris disqualified, hit him after the bell. Right? So it happened. There's a lot more circumstantial evidence out there. But this whole Glovegate thing, one person in history of sport ever got caught doing it and got punished for it, and that was Luis Resto. After that, they clamped down. The gloves are looked at before and after the fight. The wraps are inspected.
The opponent team is in the room while the gloves are being wrapped. Yeah, literally, a member of the opponent's team is in there.
The wraps are cut off immediately after the fight. They're put on the table. Someone from the commission grabs them and then inspects the wraps. So it's virtually impossible to do that.
Hey, can I say something?
Yeah, jump in, Chad. Jump. And Nacho, let me ask Nacho. Nacho, can you hear us? Nacho.
Yeah, hello?
Oh, okay. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Man? Yeah. Can you hear us?
Mike.
Maybe. Yeah, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, man. I was just checking because you're struggling.
Yeah.
Hang out for a minute, man. We'll go around the table here. We'll get to you. But Chad, you wanted to jump in. Go ahead.
What's up, Nacho? Anyway, yeah,
What's up?
the Wilder Fury 3, when all that, amidst all that controversy from 2 going into 3, I went to the Vegas or the Nevada Commission site to look at the rules about the gloves specifically. I don't remember everything, but they were great. They were so thorough. So I think it was 2 or 3 days ahead of the fight. They would select the gloves they're going to use and a backup pair. And of course, there's probably 5 or 6 witnesses, different commission people are there, members of the team, the fighters, and then they put them in a safe. They lock them away till the fight day. And there's a whole process for bringing them out on fight day. They pass hands. I mean, it's just the machinations to make this type of thing work. How does it not? There would be people would be sharing. It would leak, I guess, is my point. Like,
there are leaks in boxing. That's a great point, because
it's too many people.
These dudes can't take a shit without it being leaked somewhere on Twitter or something, for real. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, even my kids, amateur boxing. I mean, you go to a fight, there's, you got the refs, the judges, you got all these different layers of commission people are there. I just don't see at that level. You'd have to be a genius to make it happen and not have anybody say anything.
Yeah. Brian, let's have you jump in, man. I want to get your thoughts on this. And Nacho, if you're out there, Nacho's having some kind of tech difficulties, but if you can get back on, bro, please join.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, Mike, and salute to everybody here. Joe, Chad, and of course E. You know what I'm saying? So, look, I'm in the belief that it was a scripted fight, and the reason why I say that is because when you look at the situation in just just certain common things, and of course, going back to the history of boxing, what we know about rigged fights, guys, prominent fighters, we know about Primo Carnera having rigged fights. We know about Jake LaMotta admitting to having rigged fights. We know about certain guys, in the past, and even to today's time, having rigged fights, right? Or guys taking dives for them. And we all know about guys being an opponent for certain guys to help build another person or another person's resume up. Now, with that being said, of course, guys have the tune-up fights, and of course, we see that Terence Crawford is about to have a tune-up fight with Deontay Wilder. He's having this fight with Robert Helenius. Robert Helenius coming off, a win over someone like Kawanaki, who really isn't, that quality of a fighter, but it's good enough for him to be in the top 10. Mind you, we know that he is, how should I say, he's the sparring partner of Deontay Wilder. So they have a certain level of rapport because they've had those sparring rounds. They're familiar with each other. As a turnaround comeback fight for Deontay Wilder, you're bringing this man in, Robert Helenius, who they're friendly with. They're obviously friends, obviously cool with, and you're bringing them into the fight. And one thing I noticed before the fight, when they had the interview, they had Robert Helenius, they had him answer some questions right before the fight. I know everybody that's seen it saw it, right? They asked him, "What is your game plan?" Now, of course, when you're in the heat of the moment, how are you going to answer that question? You can make that argument for him. But when he was very vague when they were wrapping his hands, it was just kind of like he didn't want to answer the question. But it was very odd how he was kind of pushing it away. He's like, look, I'm not going to. It's one thing if he'd have said, look, I'm not revealing my game plan. I'm just going to come in. He didn't even give like a simple answer. He didn't give no answer, and it was very odd. Now, coming into the fight, he's coming around. Deontay Wilder is trying to use lateral movement, trying to work on some things. Me personally, I thought he was going to give him at least 5 or 6 rounds.
That's what I thought.
At the very least, right? And here it is. He rushes in, and he's rushing in head first like a battering ram, like Juggernaut, or what's the character's name? Rhino off the Spider-Man series or whatever, like a battering ram, right? And Deontay Wilder, and don't get it twisted. Guys at the box, I'm pretty sure there's guys on here that's box. I box. Took in right hands, may have had my head straight on the center line. Someone blast you with a knockout punch. You might feel it as much, you may not. It might take a little bit of space for leverage. I understand that. Okay, cool. Here's the issue though. Wilder's back was almost completely against the ropes, right? While he was coming in, and he hit him with the punch. Yes, I heard a loud shot, but like Joe Habib said, like I was explaining on different panels I've been on, because guys keep how should I say, over sensationalizing hard leather being landed on human flesh, right? Which if you've sparred, if you've dealt with boxing, you've seen boxing at the amateur and in the pros, you've been into fights, that's if something lands and it lands clean, you're gonna hear the loud thump. That's just common sense.
Even do a mitt work. You could slap the mitts. It's loud as hell.
You don't even have to hit it as hard.
Yeah,
and you hear it.
Yeah,
some of the most feather.
It's actually louder when the coach hits your fist with the mitt. That's what makes it loud, right?
Slaps,
so I see that all the time.
Slaps are louder than punches. Yeah. Even a slapping punch is louder than a because it's a slap.
Hey guys, like attending like amateur shows with a lot of casual people in the audience, right? It's just part of it. And those type of punches is what will get the crowd like to gasp, get them excited just hearing that, right? They think it's more than it is, basically.
Exactly. And you know what? To the point, he's coming head first. I can see if he turned the punch around and he's hitting square on the knuckles, right? And yeah, look, things like I said, certain leverages, certain space of leverage could generate a certain level of power, right? But mind you, no rotation of the hips, no pivoting of your feet, turning over your hips with the right hand. It's doesn't even look as hard. And what it is really almost like a palm punch. And don't get it twisted. Palm strikes can knock you out in other forms of martial arts. But the way it landed, it landed like this. And the dude literally just stopped and then just flopped down and fell down. And he kind of breaks his fall a little bit to a certain degree. But if I'm looking what I'm looking at and thinking what I'm thinking, I believe that it has to look good in the way it looked good enough for people to make the case that it wasn't for me, that it wasn't a dive. But the thing is, when I play it back multiple times, when I initially saw it, I was like, wait a second, what? And then when I saw the replay and I replayed it back, even after the event was over, I keep playing in my head like, this is a dive. It's nothing against it. I don't like the PBC. I don't have nothing against Deontay Wilder. I don't like the PBC. I don't like Al Aim and nothing like that. But that's not the reason why I'm calling it the way I am. I believe that fight was just a dive. That just based off of that, and then just based off of just certain things that was happening prior to the event even occurring.
Hey Brian,
that I was thinking.
Brian, can I just ask, like, the only angle I honestly, guys, I have not this week been looking at this at all. Like, I didn't realize, Mike, everything that went on with you and stuff, I had no idea.
Oh, God, they've been pounding me this week, man.
Yeah,
they've been hammering me this week.
But I knew there was like controversy or whatever. But the only angle I've seen of that final shot there from Wilder is basically like kind of over from behind over his left shoulder or whatever. It was a terrible angle. It's terrible. And is there, like, for all the people with complaints, is there a different angle that's being looked at?
You know what?
It's not overhead angle.
Let me tell you what.
I wasn't from Eric. I haven't heard from Eric yet.
Yeah. Give me a chance, Beeb. Come on. What are you doing? Sitting there. Beeb believes in flat Earth. I wouldn't take anything. Just take Beeb's opinion with a grain of salt. All right. So let me tell you what. I rolled this back quite a few times because I thought the same thing as you guys. Because I was like, that just didn't look like a big punch. It didn't look like but we were talking about this on the show the other day, and I said, it reminded me a lot of, not the same thing, but it reminded me a lot of the second Liston Ali fight, where you hit him with the, that phantom punch, that famous shot you see, the posters everywhere. It reminded me of that shot because I've watched that fight too, and I still can't find it. I still can't see the knockout. I mean, you could see it, but you're like, how is, and then you start studying the mechanics and everything, learn about the anchor punch. I get it. This one, when I looked at it on full speed, I didn't see it. When I slowed it down, it didn't look like Helenius saw the punch coming. And it looked like it hit him high on the head, forehead, eye area. It looked like it hit him there. And it looked to me like he didn't see the shot and he went down. Now, when he went down, it looked to me like he was legitimately hurt. Okay. That's just what it looked like to me. But if you look at the logical side of this, it doesn't make sense for him to take a dive. Number one, if he's going to take a dive, why do it in the first round? Okay. Nobody wants to go out like that. Nobody wants to get, you can't make nobody wants their fight made into a commercial. It was quick, so you don't want that. You don't want that Tyson effect on there. You don't want to be on his highlight reel. All right. So number one, that doesn't make sense. Number two, how much money was he making for this fight? How much money was Helenius making for this fight?
It's a career high payday. I do know
career
that.
high payday.
Yeah.
What if he beats Wilder? Because in all honesty, he could decision Wilder. There's no question about it.
You think he could get a decision against Wilder?
Arthur Spilska was beating Wilder. Gerald Washington was beating. All of these guys were beating Wilder at the point of the knockout. In fact, Louis Ortiz was beating Wilder both times at the point of the knockout. So let me ask you this. What makes more sense? Him taking a dive on a career high payday, because when he comes back, he's never going to reach that again. He's not even going to get an option to fight Wilder again or anybody else. He's coming off 2 big wins over Adam Konoski, okay? 2 big wins. Adam Konoski's a big name in New York. Everybody knows him. Everybody in the heavyweight division knows him. Solid name. Coming off 2. So for him to go in there and take a dive doesn't make sense. It makes more sense for him to be competitive. Even if he's competitive in that fight, that career high payday parlays itself into another career high payday. If he's competitive, it makes no sense whatsoever to take a dive in that fight. None.
I disagree, because if you notice, Bruce Seldon, that when he took a dive against Tyson, that was a first round knockout. Malik Scott, same thing. Why prolong the agony? They're friends. They don't want to hurt each other.
Scott's not going anywhere. He was his friend by giving him a payday. He took that payday. That career high payday.
That's what he did here. That's what he did here for Helenius. He gave him a career high payday.
So to pay him back, he lays down in the first round?
Exactly.
He's not going to highlight reel punch? What sense does that make?
Because it's going to be a highlight reel punch anyways, whether it's in the first round or ninth round.
How do you know?
You don't
Eric,
the empirical data of Wilder's highlight reels of knockout tells me that.
Give me a break. Everybody who goes in there thinks they can win. Everybody who goes in there thinks they can win.
Fighters go into fights knowing they're going to lose. They go in knowing they're the opponent. What do you mean stop it? It's the reality of this. It's life, Eric.
We talk about this a lot. Now, you and I talk about this a lot.
I did not think he was going to beat Danny Garcia. Rod Salka.
You thought you were going to beat Montero? What happened? You didn't even make that.
Never.
All right. So we talk about this a lot. We talk about fight fixing a lot. Now, fight fixing goes on in just about 90% of the fights out there. However, it's done on the promotional side.
Mm-hmm.
They pick the fights. They match make. They know who's going to win.
If there's a fix, that's where it is.
Fairly sure.
Yeah.
It makes more sense, and I believe the dives and stuff like that. I don't think they take place a lot in the higher levels of boxing. I think they take place in lower levels of boxing. However, I do think fight fixing happens, but I don't think it's with the fighters as much as it makes more sense to pay off a judge than it does to pay off a fighter. Because a judge isn't going to make $30 million or $5 million or $2 million, whatever they're going to make. All right. Helenius got a career high payday for this. Again, if he's competitive, just competitive, doesn't even have to win, just competitive, making it to the 7th round. He gets knocked out. But at least he's competitive. He parlays that into a brand new payday. What does he parlay? What does he parlay a first round knockout?
What did Spilka do after Wilder knocked him out?
I don't think he did anything.
Okay.
What did he do?
He was competitive. So I
mean, he was, but he's not as big a name as Helenius was.
No, come on, Helenius doesn't have a name. I don't believe
so.
Yes, Helenius not a name, brother.
We all know.
Helenius has been knocked out twice. I don't think Spilka had been slept like Gerald Washington.
Eric, that's your opinion. I'm gonna tell you why I disagree with your opinion, and you can disagree with me telling you why I disagree with your opinion. That's fine.
I object to your opinion.
But here's the thing: I've seen how many times you see guys who are sparring partners, who are friends, go into a fight, and we look at it and we're like, wow, this is just a lackluster fight. Because a lot of times when people who know each other fight each other, there's not that same intensity. It's just human nature, right? It's human nature. That's number one, right? Number two, I like to speak in uncomfortable truths. I talk in reality. Honestly, with all due respect to Helenius, he woke up in the morning of the fight. He probably knew he wasn't going to win, but he knew he was going to get paid. Probably, what was it, like $500,000? I think maybe, I don't know. He knew he was
Well,
going
then
to get
there's
paid.
foreign money. There's everything. I'm sure
Yeah.
he got seven
So-
figures out of this deal. Yeah.
So the thing is this: why go out there, right, and get the shit, put my body under all that duress with a murderous puncher like that, when I know I can get out of there quick, go home and get the payday. And Wilder's probably saying to himself too, why do I want to hurt my friend? Just like Malik Scott, he was my friend too. Why am I going to hurt him? Give him the payday, do him a solid, get him out of there. Simple as that.
I
But
see
in
it
all
more
this,
like
in all this though, we are kind of, what about Wilder and all this? Okay. I mean, we're kind of taking away what he did there. I mean, by saying, hey, it was a fake, or he was fixed or whatever. Hey, this guy did a great thing the other night. He knocked this guy out. I mean, after coming off of 3 straight losses, and I do count that first fight as a loss, coming off of 3 straight losses, I mean, to go in there, Helenius is a top 10 fighter. I want to say he's a top 10 fighter, borderline maybe.
Yeah.
According to
Top
the
20,
rankings, he's
top
a top
15.
10 fighter, top 15, top 10. But to go in there and ice him like he did, and then get no credit for it. I mean, after coming off of 3 losses.
Well, let me jump in, guys. I want to hear from Nacho. So Nacho, unmute yourself because I want to hear from you. But let me just say, I could see both points of view here. I could see Eric's point of view makes complete logical sense. Joe's point of view makes complete logical sense. My thing is, we're allowed to discuss this and have these different opinions. No one here is outright accusing of or trying to disrespect the fighters, because I think
Fighters.
Right. I mean, Robert Helenius is busted his ass for 20 plus years. Deontay Wilder's done amazing things in this sport for a guy who came to the sport so late, and he did it for his family. What an amazing story. And the courage that he showed in those fights against Tyson Fury, amazing. So we're not trying to disrespect anybody, but I think it's fair to ask questions. Nacho, can you hear us? Because you got yourself on mute. Nacho, go. if you could go.
No, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. What do you think about all this, brother? What's your opinion on all this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Honestly, it's tough to really call it a complete fix because, like you said, Mike, it's just not something that I could legitimately see the PBC coming up with behind closed doors and being able to tell Helenius, like, yeah, you know what, like, we want you to take a dive, and this is what round you're going to do it. This is what's going to happen. Like, I can't see him having come off of beating Kanaki twice in a row, agreeing to just take a dive for Wilder, even if they are friends, because at the end of the day, this doesn't do anything to benefit Helenius in any way. If anything, it hurts his career to take a dive. Yeah. So I can't see him agreeing to taking a dive. I've seen that replay of that punch that Wilder landed, and it's just really tough to accept that punch Helenius down and out, because all the other knockouts that Wilder has gotten, he was able to turn into the punch. He was able to really generate power in his arms all the way through his fist to be able to knock these guys out. That punch was just kind of like he's laying on the ropes. He bounces off the rope. He hits Helenius between the eyes and the forehead. That's it. But it didn't look like he put any kind of legitimate torque on the shot. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's just tough to legitimately say that that's like a how can I phrase this? An unquestionable knockout.
Yeah. Okay. Chad, you wanted to say something real quick?
Just agree with Nacho that it just didn't have the look to it. I mean, let's face it, it didn't have the body behind it. Really, it was a really just looked like a really short right to me. But right on the button, apparently, right? I mean, it's a tough one. Like, I don't want to believe that they're gonna fix it like that, and he's gonna go down the first. Oh man, but I don't know. It's a tough one, guys. I agree with you, Mike. I can see it both ways. I understand why people feel each way.
Can I
Joe.
can I add one thing about a lot of people are saying why is it only that one angle the knockout, right? They show what they have Wilder his back to the ropes and they have Helenius coming in. Before they had it from the side view.
What side?
They had him
like the right.
From a side view. I think it was from the right
from the corner cam, over the right shoulder, right? Yeah.
They stopped showing that one and they're only showing this one,
right?
And they're not showing Wilder's feet because Wilder's feet weren't even planted, right?
It's
so other people have asked me why did they edit this? Why when they show it now they're only showing this angle? I don't know. I mean, and to Eric's point, why would Wilder do this? Whatever. 65 to 70% of the people believe this was a legit knockout. Only 30 or 35 people. I did a poll on my channel. It was like 60-40, right? 60 thought it was real, 40 thought it was fake. But again, that's my channel, so they're listening to me. They're probably biased towards my opinion. I don't really pay them or anything, but they might be the maniacs. But I mean,
Beeb was the 60% in that poll. So I mean, I can honestly see both sides of this. I really can. I mean, because looking at that shot, it didn't look like a particularly hard shot. When I slowed it down, I could see how he went down, and it looked to me like he wasn't looking. But I can definitely see everybody's point here, man.
Hey, Eric. Hey, Eric. So one thing I was wondering is what angle were you looking from that main one? The main
from the
shot?
main shot, from the main one, and then you just stopped it, slowed it down, and went kind of like frame by frame, kind of like they did the Zapruder film.
Yeah, this has been broken down like the Zapruder.
Yeah, just kind of broke it down like the bullet, And to me, it looked like. I mean, I'll tell you this: I wouldn't want to get hit with that shot from Wilder.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But
let me ask you guys this, because there's an element to this that I wanted to hit on. Okay, the way that people are, and Beeb, you talked about this. I think you and Eric talked about this on your show this week. The fact that there is a whole industry, like a sub-industry in the boxing industry, of people for a year making videos, making tens of thousands of dollars, monetizing these videos, talking about Glovegate, Eggweightgate, and these people were so adamant about this. And again, they weren't asking questions. They were literally accusing collusion, attempted murder. That crowd is not only silent on this, but if you ask the questions we're asking, they accuse you of all sorts of nasty stuff. You guys have seen what I went through this week online. And I'm not the only one. But can we talk about that? Anybody jump in on that?
Mike, here's the thing. I'm being asked why I believe what I believe. I'm articulating my points. They can't articulate their points. How did JDs not see it? They can't come up with a logical explanation why, or not even. You can even say my explanations aren't logical, but at least you have one. They're expansive answers. I'm breaking it down piece by piece. They spoke in generalities. They were not able to articulate their points. Brian articulated his points. I articulated my points, and I explained why. I mean, and Eric made a good point, like, in lower level fights where there is not as much incentive. But my thing is this, Helenius even said he's probably going to retire after this fight. So maybe this was a cash out fight. This could have possibly been a cash out fight for him.
He went into this fight knowing it was the cash out. We've seen that 1,000 times. Right?
A lot of guys will go in there as a cash out fight.
Right.
So that's the thing. So that's the difference between this and that. You know what I mean? And it's easier. It's way easier to do this than to do what Fury was accused of. It's like I said, it's
not just Fury, man. It was Kenny Bayless. It was Mark Breland. Again, when I say collusion, there was like all these parties. I mean, it was like the JFK assassination. Brian, we haven't heard from you in a while, man. I feel like you're waiting on deck. So go ahead.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. I just wanted to bring this out, right, with Deontay Wilder and his fans and his overly protective alphabet organization groups that are protecting them. I'm not going to name their names, but look, here's my thing, right? Especially looking into deep about Deontay Wilder himself and what he has in that right hand. Now, albeit surgery, I mean, if you're going to sit up here and you're going to talk about somebody having egg wakes, which I don't know how you can put egg wakes in your gloves and punch somebody without breaking your goddamn hand. I don't know how I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how that's possible. But then that, which is a criminal act, also too, you're dealing with Kenny Bayless, and then you're dealing with your own trainer who's been with you in the Olympics, probably the greatest amateur boxer I've ever seen. I've ever heard of Mark Breland, great welterweight. Why would it benefit him to spike your water? And then how in the hell you want to fight the guy that you claim, and you took the man to court that you claim tried to kill you?
Went back to the same commission that you accused of attempted murder. You went back to the same. Sorry to interrupt, but that's such a great point. That's such a great point.
And then watch this though, right? And then watch this though. Here's the thing. You say all this, but then here it is. Come to find out, you have metal pins in your hands. Now, like I said, it is, and this is a fact, but you know, albeit it is surgery, you have it in your hands for your reconstructive purposes. But question, I mean, if you want to question somebody having anything in their gloves, what about what's inside your hands? If that might be giving you more power than what you naturally would have. Just to say something, just to put that out there, you know, I'm just saying, just for the since we're bringing the topic up, that's just something to think about.
That's a great point too.
And then
and did you guys hear about Deontay Wilder? They interviewed him, I guess after this or whatever. He's still on, or maybe it was before the fight or whatever. He's still on the whole Fury thing. He still thinks he was cheated. I mean, he says after he was like, "We have proof." He's still on this.
And Eric, again, I'm going to bring Jake Donovan's name up again because this guy said I should be sued for something that I didn't even say. But moron. Yeah, I'm sorry, but Jake, I love you, but Jesus Christ,
get it together over there, you know.
It's ridiculous, dude. Deontay Wilder is still going on about Fury cheating. And again, what they're accusing Fury of is literally lawfully attempted murder, right? We go back to the Resto case that Joe brought up. There's just not a peep from anybody about that. But just criticizing Deontay Wilder or Al Heyman, pounce. I bring this up to segue into the Spence Crawford situation. I want to hit on this real quick. I want to hear everyone's opinions. Today is day 335 since Terence Crawford became a free agent. 0 roadblocks preventing this fight yet. We're going to get him versus David Avanesian in December. And that's going to be on a brand new streaming platform, pay-per-view, $40. And then, of course, we're going to get Errol Spence versus Keith Thurman. And we kind of saw the writing on the wall. We saw like the plan B earlier this year when suddenly out of nowhere, the WBC promoted Keith Thurman to their #1 position at welterweight, despite the fact that Thurman hasn't defeated a top welterweight in about 6 years. And that's if you consider Danny Garcia a top welterweight, which I never did. That you got to go back 5-6 years for that. So that's going to be pay-per-view, obviously, too, right? Zero criticism here. The same people that regularly go after Eddie Hearn, Bob Arum, Oscar De La Hoya, whoever it is, not a peep from these people. That PBC has had an entire year to get this fight done. It's not done.
In a division too, where I felt like when he came back, there was no room for him. We have all these hungry contenders that want the top spot, and Thurman's the guy. Yeah, it's frustrating. You know,
it's frustrating because the fans are getting ripped off. It'd be one thing if they put, I mean, it'd still be bad, but if they put like a co-feature where it was like, let's say the Crawford Avanesian fight was the co-main, and then the main event was Spence and Thurman, and that was a pay-per-view. Like that would be at least okay. The two winners will fight each other next March. If they set it up like that, at least there's a build. But there's nothing like that. Crawford's fighting on this completely independent platform. I looked today and their Twitter account had 82 followers. I'm sure it's more now, but they got 82 followers, dude. That's the platform that he's about to fight on. So for nobody in the media to just bring up the fact that this is a colossal failure on Al Heyman and Pete, it's directly on them because they are the promoter that's trying to negotiate it. Am I wrong on that?
I think, yeah, I think you are. Last I heard,
right.
and you may know more about this than I do. Last I read was that Spence and the PBC sent the contract over 2 weeks ago to Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford, they just sat on it. They never returned it. Next thing I know, the fight's being announced for David Avanesian. And that's the last thing I read on it. And I cannot believe, out of all the money that's going to be involved in this fight and everything, you guys could not get this done. He doesn't have a promoter. You know what I mean? Crawford left Top Rank.
He didn't like the terms of the contract, though, Eric, where he was not going to be told about expenses and things like that, from what I've heard. Now, again, none of us are in the damn room. None of us know 100%.
Right.
Neither does Mike Coppinger.
But, guys,
yeah.
how far along do you think things really were? Because, you know, they were making us believe that it was, you know.
Oh, it was done.
Yeah.
It was done.
You know, like
yeah.
Just a couple dot the I's or whatever. Do you guys think it was really like that? Or
no?
Yeah.
No.
It couldn't have been, because you're not going to walk away from a huge payday,
right?
Just for a few things. You know what I mean? Just for a small little thing. And they said all the major points had been done. This is them talking, not me. All the major points had been done. All we have to do is put pen to paper, and we're good. There's a couple little things to iron out. Well, apparently they weren't a couple little things. Apparently there were a lot of different things. You know. As far as whose fault it is, I don't know whose fault it is. I have my suspicions, like I just said. But, you know, now, I mean, so instead of getting, you know, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, we're getting Tyson Fury, Derek Chisora. We're getting Keith Thurman, who, are you serious? Where's Boots Ennis in all this? He's a PBC guy. Why he's not kicking the walls and throwing furniture, I don't know. I don't know.
He fought once this year.
Right.
It could be the best prospect in the sport. Could be a future pound for pound #1 talent. Guy fought once this year.
Make that fight.
Anyone over Thurman, guys. Anyone. Like Stan Jonas. I don't care.
Do we know?
Put Helenius in there over Thurman.
Do we know for a fact?
I would take it, you know.
Do we know for a fact he's fighting Thurman, or we just?
No. I can't say on the record, but I strongly, yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. I still think the fight happens next year. I'm thinking it's probably going to happen in February or March. What I do think is Crawford does need a fight in between because he's been off for such a long time.
Yes.
I just think this is a stay busy fight for Crawford, just like for Fury. The Chisora fight's a stay busy fight for Fury. I'm not endorsing either fight. Well, I don't really mind the Evanesian fight. I don't like the Chisora fight, obviously.
Yeah.
But you know, I think Fury will fight Usyk in the spring next year. I think
completely agree.
Yeah, I don't think this is such like people are all up in arms about this because they're framing it as if this means that the Crawford Spence fight is dead.
It's dead for 2022.
Yeah,
Eric, I've been saying all along they're going to fight next spring once the books open back up at Fox and Showtime and all the network money's there.
Is this past its sell date though?
That #1, but #2, I just want transparency. I want transparency. Just tell us right now. Sign the fight for next March, and then do your tune-up fights, and then I want consistency from the American media. If they're going to go after let's say Fury Chisora, which nobody wants to see that fight, but it's a stay busy fight. But if you're criticizing that, then you should be critical of what's going on with Crawford and Spence. And I'm just not seeing the same consistency from the same people. That's my whole thing.
I don't know how you couldn't be critical of this. I mean, again, this is the biggest fight to be made. Biggest fight, period. I think it's bigger than any heavyweight fight you can make. This is the biggest fight you can make. It's Sugar Ray and Thomas Hearns all over again. And you're not going to do it. And then you're going to wait. This is going to be like Pacquiao Mayweather. You're going to wait till it's way past the due date, and then you're going to put it together. And it doesn't make sense.
I'm seeing a lot of people try to make Crawford out to be the bad guy here. And again, I'm not here to take a side. I don't know. But everyone's like insinuating Crawford's the one being difficult, pricing himself out of the fight. Crawford doesn't have the promoter. So he doesn't really have a ton of leverage here, right? So I don't know what's going on, but what I'm seeing is most people are blaming Crawford. And I don't know. I'm not ready to blame anyone just yet, because I do think it's going to happen in the spring. I do think it's going to happen.
I completely believe it's going to happen. I'm not blaming any one fighter, but the promotion is PBC. It's going to be a PBC fight on Fox pay-per-view. So from that perspective, I hold them responsible for it not happening right now. I also hold them responsible for a lack of transparency in the media, because if it is going to happen next spring, which I agree, it totally will, man, set it up now. Promote the shit for 5 or 6 months. Make it a big fight. That's what other promoters are doing. And that's why when Anthony Joshua fights, when Canelo Alvarez fights, they're big events, no matter who they fight, because it's set up months beforehand and you know what the build is. And by the way, I've been very critical of Tyson Fury and all his nonsense. He never was going to fight Anthony Joshua this year. That was all bullshit. They were negotiating with Chisora the whole time. I've been very critical. I'm just saying the lack of consistency is what annoys the hell out of me. We lost Nacho again. Oh, there he is. Nacho, if you hear us, let's hear your points or your viewpoints on this.
Yeah, in regards to this whole saga with Spence and Crawford, I get, like Joe said, it looks like it's probably going to happen early next year. I think that the PBC just legitimately wanted to kind of hold hostage until next year, because they obviously didn't want to come up with the money at the end of the year to make this fight happen. I'm very surprised that Crawford had Helenius in his back pocket like this. It almost makes it feel like he was negotiating with Spence and Helenius at the same time, and then it was just going to come down to who actually was going to put up the money for him to fight. I'm surprised that whoever it is that's doing this Helenius fight, that according to what I've been reading, they're talking about Crawford could make $10 million. And I'm like, for Helenius, I'm like, man, I mean, if that's the case, then I technically can't blame him, because from everything that's been reported, whether these people are getting the right information or not, I'm going to put that caveat in, because a lot of people out here are saying that people are out here not telling the truth about the details. Crawford was taking the short end of the stick to try to make this fight happen, yet people are still going out of their way to blame him. And to me, that just reeks of they're literally Spence fanagers, and they're just not willing to accept that Al Heyman and Errol Spence.
Oh, man. Nacho, you broke up. Man, Nacho's having difficulties today.
What is he on, a flip phone or what?
I don't know, man. I don't know what phone he's using.
It's just like when he calls
He
into
just
Osho.
dropped again, yo.
Sounds like he's on Quaaludes when he calls into Osho, man. We gotta get it together, man.
Nacho, is your phone from 1988? What's up, man?
Nacho,
No, I'm just unfortunately, Mike, I'm just in an area where I'm at in town where for some bizarre reason, I'm just getting full service at times. It sucks. I've done everything to.
Are you
I've done everything.
Or something like, what are you doing, man? Oh, man. All right. Well, all right, guys. We're running up on 6:30, so I want to get just everyone's last thoughts on this. We'll close out. We'll do this again, man, because this was fun. I don't know when I'll be able to do it next, because I'm about to be on lockdown for a minute here. But let's start with Chad, and then we'll go around the table here.
A quick point about, you were asking about fans and how people are motivated to love a certain fighter and back it up on Twitter to the extent they do. I mean, you look over in Europe at soccer and you see that there's teams over there, there's great history, and the teams really represent a town or village and represent sometimes politics and definitely history of the people. And when that team plays, it literally, people feel represented against whatever town they might hate or whatever. Boxing, I mean, for me, I'm a fan of boxing. I want to see these great fighters fight. And how people become so enamored and become super fans of one guy to the point where they're biased as hell, or where they feel like they have to go on Twitter and, insulting people. And it's crazy. And I think people need to get back to that with boxing. Like, let's appreciate the sport and, let the fighters be the fighters.
Here.
That's
all right, Eric, let's hear it.
This is probably the most depressing week in the history of boxing. We have no big fights this weekend. That's number one. No big fights on TV this weekend. That's number one. We don't get Fury Josh. We're getting Fury Chisora 3. As if the first 2 weren't enough. We get number 3, okay? No Crawford Spence, the one fight we were looking forward to at least being signed. Instead, we're gonna get Spence Thurman, like everybody needs to see that one, and then Crawford Avanesian on the pay-per-view, no less. Both of those fights on pay-per-view. I want to know $40 to watch that fight. The Avanesian, come on, man, that's insane.
It's a bargain.
100%. I'm not watching that fight.
It's a bargain.
It's a bargain. Get out of here.
Brian.
You're sick. And you know what? I'm going to help you, Beeb.
Finish up, Eric.
I'm going to help you, Beeb. You're not going to watch that fight. You can bank on that.
The bickering between these two, I swear to God. I swear to God. All right, Brian, what's up, man? Brian, I think you're on mute. You just dropped.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, no, I had to push the button. But yeah, no, man. No, it was I had a good time with this panel, man. Hey, look, at the end of the day, guys are mad at a man for trying to get his money. In me being a Crawford fan, him being my favorite fighter, I would criticize him for being a champion and not defending his title for a whole year. Even though I know, I'm just saying for what I've seen, Errol Spence in the PBC has been playing games for the last couple of years. I'm just going to condense that of how I feel about that. Playing games over the years. I don't think Crawford wants to play them same games. I'm like, you know what? Let me take this eight figures fight with this dude who's not really all that good. Stay busy, just like Wilder stayed busy with Helenius, just like Errol Spence needs to stay busy fighting, Keith once upon a time Thurman. So it is what it is. And also too, look, it's depressing to see, this stuff going on in boxing, but hey, I didn't think this fight was going to happen this year personally. And, look, it is what it is, as fans, and I'm just going to end on this, as fans, you got to hit their pockets. You got to hit it where it hurts.
Yep.
And demand these fights and tell these promoters that they can't just be telling you what you want. You got to tell them what you want. And that's all I got to say.
Joe, what's up?
Well, the thing about life is this. It's like a roller coaster ride. You go up and you go down, right? You have the good times, you got the bad times. You got the rough patches and you got the great patches. So things like this make us appreciate the good times that much more, right? Because if we always got what we wanted, like Eric, he's a spoiled brat growing up. You always get what you want, right? You tend to take things for granted. And when you do get those great things, right? If you got a diamond, if a girl gets a diamond ring every birthday or whatever, then the diamond ring's not so special anymore, right? So that's what makes these fights so much more special because of the buildup, the anticipation, right? Makes us want them even more, right? So history has shown us something. Although it's not fun to wait for these fights, the longer we do wait for them, the bigger they do become, and the anticipation is greater, right? So maybe, again, I'm not trying to be manager here, and I'm not justifying what's going on. Maybe they're looking at it that way. Let's build this up. Let's make these guys want it, right? That way we can ensure that people are going to want to buy the pay-per-view. Because I never imagined that Mayweather Pacquiao would do 4.6 million pay-per-view buys. I was thinking maybe 2. I said 3 actually. I said probably do 3 million pay-per-view buys, right? 4.6 is amazing, So that's the way I look at it. And also this, I want to remind everyone we have Anderson Silva versus Jake Paul next week. All right, so don't
Title Town's best, baby.
that's a bright spot. I'm already calling up Xfinity. I'm probably going to call up Xfinity after we get off this live, and I'm going to order this pay-per-view.
I got it ordered. Definitely watching.
I got my poster in my bedroom, man. I keep it right above my bed. All right, Nacho, wrap it up for us, baby. Nacho, are you still in that tunnel? You still spelunking? Are you there?
Mike, I've done everything I can. I don't know what the hell's going on. I mean, I'm gonna give it one last shot, but I mean, it just
wrap it up for us, man. Just give us your thoughts, and we'll wrap up the show with your thoughts, man.
You're a big letdown, Nacho. Never get it together.
Beeb, that's okay. We know why you're salty. You're still mad about the whole trivia thing. Like I said, I'll give you your third shot. It's no big deal.
That was
Oh, man.
Eric was texting the answers.
So, what was the? I didn't hear what you said, Mike. What was it?
God.
We were just making fun of how shitty your phone is. Nah,
Just
man.
wrap it up, Mike. Just wrap it up, Mike. Don't worry about it.
Nacho, you're awesome, brother. I was just honestly, we were all just giving thoughts on
man.
the whole
Sorry.
situation in boxing right now. Just to Eric's point, it's like it's been a very depressing week. You know, is there any silver lining here?
Watch Brazzers all weekend.
Nacho, you know what, Nacho? We're gonna let you go.
Ended with, I don't know.
Mike,
that's a perfect ending to this fucking match.
Give this guy the hook, Mike. Get him out of here.
It was like the Gong Show, man. He'd have been gone.
I think I added Nacho like 12 times to the show today. He dropped so many times. All right, so we're gonna do like Nacho and drop, everybody. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys as soon as I can. And we'll do this again. All right, let's definitely do this again, guys. This is a lot of fun. So thank you for being on. Thank you everybody for watching. All right.
All right, guys.
Peace. Have a great weekend, everybody. And yeah, so we'll do this again very, very soon. This was a lot of fun. Let me know what you guys enjoyed about this and what we want to see maybe do a little different besides Nacho's terrible phone, what we could do a little different next time, or if you liked it just like this, and any ideas for guests to bring on. All right, so from anywhere in the world, man, let me know. All right, guys, have a great weekend. I'll see you at the fights. Peace.